a lot of the guys down here have helped me a ton. Like Gilbert Burns, Logan Storley, Michael Chandler, Robbie Lawler. All these guys are always giving me help every practice after if I ask questions or if I don't, if they see something.
Mitchell Mckee, who makes his Bellator debut this August at Bellator 284. How are you, sir?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad, man. Just again enduring the rain over here. So,
Yeah.
but other
Yeah,
than
we
that,
get that.
everything's doing okay.
Yeah, we get that down in Florida too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And you're training down there in Sanford. I'm sure you've gotten your fair share of light hurricanes. Let's just say, right? Not even storms.
Yeah, I mean, I got here last summer. I don't think we didn't have a hurricane last year. All we had was like this tropical storm, maybe like month and a half ago, but it came from the Tampa Bay side. So I haven't been through a full blown hurricane yet, and I'm from Minnesota. So we'll see how that goes. When I'm sure we'll get one in the next month or two. So we'll
Yeah,
see
I'm
how
sure
that
you
goes.
will. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Best of luck with that. So I
Yeah.
want to get right into it, man. I gotta ask, how did the opportunity come about for you to sign with Bellator and now having your first fight?
Definitely came from my agent Dave Martin. He's a good agent. He's connected with Chandler, Bader, Storley, um, or he's their agent. So I think he's got good connections with Bellator, and it's in Sioux Falls, that's where he's from. I'm from the Midwest, Minnesota. So it was kind of a perfect timing, with it being in Sioux Falls and me being 2-0, kind of just starting my come up, and it's a good opportunity for me to show what I've been working on for the last year as far as striking and stuff, and my whole life with wrestling. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, and back to the whole Sanford MMA thing. When did you get to start with them exactly, more or less, and how's that been ever since you've been there?
Yeah, so I had Olympic trials last year for wrestling. Afterwards, Storley called me up and said, do you want to come? Could you see yourself doing MMA? And I was like, well, yeah, I've watched MMA since I was young. I've always thought about doing it. So I came down for like a week. Uh, Dave flew me down for a week, and I just got to train with guys, and I'd never even really did striking before or anything. Uh, so it was different, but I loved it because it was different, and it was still high level competition with a very good amount of wrestling involved in it. So I knew that me jumping into it it wouldn't take forever for me to get the hang of it because I had a wrestling background, but obviously I'd have to spend a lot of time with the striking and everything, but it was awesome. So then last July I moved down here and then had my first fight in December last year, and yeah, it's been great. A lot of the guys down here have helped me a ton. Like Gilbert Burns, Logan Storley, Michael Chandler, Robbie Lawler. All these guys are always giving me help every practice after if I ask questions or if I don't, if they see something, whatever it is, and just picking their brains has been just unbelievable.
Yeah. And when was there a specific time when you thought to yourself, like, okay, I want to do MMA, I want to transition to MMA? Or was it maybe around the time when you were wrestling? Was there ever a thought in the back of your head, like maybe I could do this down the line?
Yeah, it was definitely, I graduated college in 2020. So I've been doing freestyle wrestling for a while. So my plan originally was just to do the Olympic and world circuit for wrestling. But yeah, like I said, I've watched a lot of MMA since I was young. We used to go over to, everyone used to go over to each other's house to all watch the big UFC fights, and then you got Brock Lesnar's from the University of Minnesota.
Right.
He came back a couple times, especially once Gable Steveson was on our team. So like just seeing guys be successful in the MMA world from my college that I was going to. So I always thought about it, but I just never had the opportunity. And then once I was kind of presented it, when Storley called me and well, yeah, and Storley too. He's from the University of Minnesota. But you know, once I actually got an actual opportunity at you know, one of the best gyms in the world, um, it was hard to say no. You know, and I always wanted to give it a shot, and I figured now is a better time than ever because you can't wait too long to start. So
Yeah. And I mean, you got the debut coming up, right? How has the training camp been? Have you done anything different this time in preparation from previous fights? Have you maybe ramped it up a little bit, done anything differently?
you know, my first two camps were pretty similar. I mean, I'm just keeping it simple, just training twice a day every day, and um, get Sundays off. But you know, Storley's a big help for me, and he kind of guides me along, tells me because he's been through a lot more camps than me, you know, and he's a wrestler and he kind of gets it. So he's kind of giving me a lot of good advice on what to do. You know, if my body's feeling this kind of way, you know, do this, you know, different recovery things. You know, I obviously every camp's different a little bit, but you know, whether it's your body hurts a little more one camp than the next, but it's been good. You know, I try to get as much wrestling as I can in to make sure I'm in wrestling shape. No, because I know that's what my background is. So I always got to be prepared for to be able to wrestle. But you know, obviously, I'm training my striking a bunch too, hitting pads a lot. We're sparring twice a week, so I'm working as much as I can in this camp and just really trying to be prepared for every scenario. And you know, I'm sure my camps will evolve with time, but just kind of going hard right now, and then I'll probably back it off about 2 weeks before. So
Yeah. And what do you make of the guy that you're training for, Tony Ortega? What do you make of the matchup?
I think it's gonna be exciting. You know, he seems very high pace, seems pretty good in a lot, you know, all the areas.
Right.
Um, but you know, I feel like my wrestling, if I decide to wrestle, it's gonna overwhelm him. But you know, so that's obviously my favor. But you know, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to get kind of step up in a level of competition and test myself, and I think this is a perfect matchup for me to do that, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And do you think that this is your toughest matchup to date, or do you maybe you just don't know yet?
Yeah, I mean, my first one, the guy was a better, like, really, he was good at jiu-jitsu, and but you know, I just think he's a better overall rounded fighter, and um, you know, it's just my first two guys, you know, nothing against them, but I don't think they were on the level that he's on. But um, you know, I'm just excited for it, and um, looking forward to getting back to the Midwest where all my fans are and putting on a good show.
And you know, you're going to be in this division now for a long time at Bellator, I would assume, right? What do you make of the bantamweight division? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about. I obviously they got the bracket going on, and
Yeah.
I've been talking about it with Storley a lot, and you know, I see there's some good guys in there, but you know, there's also some you know, a couple of them are just wrestlers, you know, and I think that you know, I'm coming up right now, and I think that if I can really focus on my striking and get my striking where it needs to be, mixed with my wrestling, that I could, you know, really find my way at the top of this division pretty quickly. You know, it's just a matter of me putting in the time, which I since I've been here, I love being in the gym, and it's something that's new and exciting for me. And with the striking, now that I'm finally putting the striking together and it's kind of clicking, and it's exciting, and I love doing it, and I love getting in the gym to work on it. And obviously, I have some amazing coaches to help me. So I feel like if I can start really putting together my striking, and then also just being able to fluidly mix the wrestling and the striking, not just be a wrestler, not just be a striker, but be able to do both and really transition between the two really well. I think you know, I'll be able to do some damage in this division.
You mentioned the wrestling. Do you think that's going to be the big difference? Like, what do you think about do you think there's any good wrestlers in this division? You don't have to give out any names, but do you think the division is like strong with wrestlers? And do you think that'll be maybe the difference for you to propel to the top of the division quickly, like you kind of just hinted at?
Yeah, I mean, you got Sabatello and Stotts that,
Mhm.
they were wrestlers. I'm sure everyone has, you know, decent wrestling, but it's just I think on my way up to them, on my way up to that level where they're all at in that bracket, I think my wrestling will definitely help me get to that level quicker. But like I said, I got to be prepared once I get there with my striking. I can't fall back on my wrestling for the next X amount of fights, and next thing you know, I'm fighting one of those guys in the bracket, but my striking's not where it needs to be yet. So I understand that I got to make sure that even if my opponents right now are at the level that I want to be at, that I got to still train like they are, and I got to be prepared to, who knows, maybe in a year I'm fighting one of the guys in the bracket, or I'm fighting a guy who's a top 10 guy, or top 5 or whatever it is. I got to be ready for that, so I got to be preparing for that now. Can't wait till the time comes.
And you seem like you're very confident, right? You seem like you would have no problem making your way up efficiently, right? Getting to the rank guys. How far away do you think you are from rank guys? Because you compete with a lot of these guys in the gym, right? So it seems like, you're pretty close, right? At the very least.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like I said, like you just said, I train with a lot of good guys in my gym, and I can feel myself getting better and better with my striking. Obviously when I first moved down here, I was just, and every time we get spar, I just shoot a double leg and try to get a takedown. But now I'm trying to force myself to stay on the feet longer and figure it out. And I think that's huge for me. Is just telling myself, like, even if, who cares if you lose this practice to this guy, it just stay on your feet and try to figure it out. And that's what I keep doing and trying to push myself. And because obviously it's easy for me in the practice room to go against a guy who's a striker and just double leg him and take him down and keep him on the ground for 5 minutes. But um, I'm trying to push myself to stay on the feet against these, because we have a lot of high level strikers in our gym, and it's helping me a bunch, with my striking side. Just trying to force myself to stay on the feet with them, and it's definitely helped me a ton. And yeah, I mean, as far as how long, I don't know. I guess I could see in the next. I want to fight as much as I can. It's other than I got my wedding is in September, so it actually works out perfect for having this fight. But after that, I want to fight at least once more this year and at least 3 times next year. So I could see, by the end of next year, by middle to end of next year, fighting a top ranked guy.
Yeah. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks.
Is this
Yep.
almost like less pressure in a way? Like, yeah, it's going to be a fight on Bellator now, like your first fight, you want to prove a point, all that. But it's almost like, you don't have to worry about being in the hometown kid or any of that stuff. Or do
Well,
you just not care about any of that?
I mean, I still kind of am good. I mean, my last fight was at this same arena, but it was just with LFA, and it's only 3 hours away from
Really?
my hometown. So
Okay.
it's
Oh,
kind
so
of
I guess it's the same thing then.
it's
Okay.
kind of
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So my
Yeah.
first one was like 30 minutes from, it's like right outside of Minneapolis, and then
Right. Cause
this
it was super close, the first one.
yeah, and that one, yeah, like you just said, it was a lot of pressure, like um going out for my debut and never having any amateur fights or nothing, and that was my pro debut in Minnesota. All the stands were pretty much my fans and all my family and friends and college teammates and whatever. And when they call your name and they erupt, and in your head you're just like, oh my god, there's a lot of people here just for me. I want to make sure I want to win. But yeah, it was a lot of pressure. And then I just think I just want to get in the cage as much as I can, and so that I tell myself that I've wrestled at a lot of big stages. I've wrestled at the NCAA championships. I've wrestled at world championships. Um, and that's what I tell myself going out there is like, you've wrestled on big stages before. This is no different. And it helps me a lot, and I think nerves are good too. You just can't let them take control of you. But, um, Yeah, I mean, I think I'll still have quite a bit of fans at Sioux Falls just because it's only 3 hours away. But I'm, um, it's nice for it's nice to have fans, and I appreciate it. And afterwards, it'll be fun to see all my family and friends that I haven't seen in months because now moving to Florida, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like a homecoming and a fight combined,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Is
Yeah, I've
that
been
as
lucky. I mean, with my
go ahead.
first three, I've been lucky being in the Midwest, so my family can all come see me, which is, the best part.
Yeah, that's great. And you've mentioned this multiple times already about the whole when you're in a fight, you're a little nervous, maybe you go back to the wrestling days, right? Is that a safe place for you? Like, and will it be going forward? Like anytime you feel a little pressure, you just think to yourself, okay, I've been in big stages before, I can handle this.
Yeah, yeah, I think, I've done, quite a bit of stuff in wrestling, and I've wrestled
Yeah.
overseas. I've wrestled overseas at tournaments, and those are probably the worst, honestly, is like when you're in a foreign country and you're wrestling against some guy from Georgia and you don't, it's
The weight cut.
everything's.
How about that weight cut with the food they got there and all that? It's that,
Yeah, it's tough,
yeah.
it's everything's tough when you go overseas, and to still you still got to perform, and it doesn't really matter, So I've had some, and then you got the Big Ten wrestling season. It's just a grind, you Friday night you'll wrestle, and I don't know, you'll wrestle Michigan Friday night, and then you got to bus over to Michigan State for Sunday, or you got to make weight twice, and it's just, and it's -10 degrees outside. It's always a grind, and with wrestling, I've been doing it for so long and had a lot of hard days, hard practices, hard weeks, tough tournaments, and yeah, I think it'll always be something I fall back on, like mentally, just like you've done, you've been here. This is a little different, but you've been here before, 1,000 times. So
Yeah, and I'm sure even in terms of the mentality, you could apply that even in other aspects, right? Like, because wrestlers, like, it's almost like every wrestler, yeah, that's like the best background maybe you want to have, at least statistically, when you're an MMA fighter, because those are the ones that seem to impose it the most. But like the grind of wrestling, it feels like it's different from like any other sport. Like I remember in high school, right? I'd have friends that
mhm.
are wrestling and they're just dead. Like it seems like that's the hardest practice, right? It seems like that's like it's just the sport you just grind the most almost.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think the goal of wrestling is for it to. I mean, coaches, the goal for them is to make it a grind for you, so that toughens you up, so that you're able to, because you need to be. I mean, the guys who are at the top in wrestling are very tough and put themselves in hard practices every single day, and obviously you train smart too, but it's just, I think it's mentally, you got to be able to push through some really hard times, some really hard weight cuts. Especially with wrestling, you weigh in 2 hours, or college wrestling, it's 1 hour before you go out and wrestle. You weigh in Olympic style wrestling, you weigh in 2 hours before. So it's like you got to cut your weight very correctly and make sure that you get down so that you can weigh in and still be able to function and compete. Um, and it's just that right there, that aspect of it is a grind in itself, and then you got so many more aspects of the sport. But I'm very thankful for it. I'm thankful that I grew up a wrestler, and that me and my family are a wrestling family, and that we're in the state of Minnesota, of all states too, which is a big wrestling state. It's just
Sure.
a lot of things I'm thankful for that from wrestling.
Yeah. So want to go back as we wrap up here to the MMA, the Bellator. Do you feel like right now this is almost the perfect time for you in your life to be making your Bellator debut, right? You said you're about to get married, right? It's always nice to have a good companion by your side, right? As you get older now, you've had a couple fights. Do you feel like now it seems like this is the perfect point for you to make your Bellator debut?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it is, because I mean I've been down here for a year now. I'm settled in down here. Just moved into a new place for my second year of lease, and
Nice.
yeah, I'm getting married, and yeah, I got a great companion by my side. I mean, she moved down here with me. As soon as I said I want to move down here, she was like, "All right, let's do it." And she moved down here with me, and so it's always great to have a good support system. Obviously, I got my family and friends back home supporting me. I got my brother and all the Gopher Wrestling alumni. And but yeah, it's just, I think I'm at the perfect time where I'm settled in down here, because I think this last year it's been a lot of learning and understanding the way it is down here, and like just I'm finally feeling like home down here, like settled in, and I think it's a good time for me to make the Bellator debut, and and to really start running up some fights in Bellator, and getting some wins and climbing the division.
Sounds about right to me. So I
Yep.
want to ask you one last question here. What can the fans expect from you, right? Maybe it's a fans who have never seen you before, just Bellator fans or MMA fans in general. Let's say is their first time watching you fight. What can they expect?
Yeah, I mean, I said it my last fight that I wanted to strike a little more. And then the guy actually shot on me. Um, so it ended up going to the ground. But I do want to strike more, and I want to give fans a show. Obviously, if things aren't going my way on the feet, I'm gonna go to the ground. But I've also been working a lot on the ground to make it still an exciting fight on the ground, so I can get finishes, and either whether it's TKOs or submissions. So um, I don't like stepping off the gas pedal. I don't like people who take people down and then just sit there. I want to still inflict pain on top. So whether I'm on the feet or on the ground, I'm gonna be going on 100% the whole time.
Well, hey man, best of luck at Bellator 284. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.